What's good, YouTube? It's your boy DJ LiftOFF with the JP Way, and you don't want to miss this flight. Now today, the most important thing that you need to know if you're learning how to scratch, or even if you already know how to scratch, the most important thing is being intentional with your scratching. And that means understanding what you're doing in your head before you actually translate it to your hands. Now, I'm gonna be going through this video and breaking down everything in 5 different steps. So make sure you watch from beginning to end so you don't miss a beat and you understand how this comes full circle. So with that said, let's start off with number 1. Understand as many scratch types or techniques as possible. The more you know, the better. And I mean the baby scratch, scribble scratch, crab scratch, chirp scratch, the 1-click flare, 2-click flare, transformer scratch, all of these different scratches, you really want to understand how to do it. And you don't have to be an expert or a professional at any of these per se, but you at least want to have the hand movement down to some degree, because if you don't even understand how to do it with your hands or know what it looks like or sounds like, there's no way you can honestly understand it in your head. And then once you have that down, then you're ready for step number 2. Now this step is probably the most important step of them all, and this is to verbally say what the scratch type or technique sounds like to you out loud. So for instance, the baby scratch, if you were to hear it, what does it sound like to you? To me, it sounds like erret. What does the chirp scratch sound like to you? For me, So all you want to do is go over all of these different scratch types and techniques in your head, and then also say them out loud. And that's literally for all of the scratch techniques that you know. Repeat it, say it out loud until you really understand and can differentiate each one as much as possible. I know some kind of overlap, like my chirp will be like in my head I'm like and then for the stab I'm like or sometimes I'll even use da. So if I had like a baby in a chirp, I'll go or so I have a or a duh. Whatever is most convenient and comfortable for you, do that. All right, so once you are comfortable verbally expressing all of the scratch types that you know up to this point, you can then move on to step number 3, which is going to be to create very basic scratch patterns based on these different expressions that you now have. So first, I'll just give you all a few examples of how I express some of the scratch types that I do. Starting off with the baby scratch. So of course we have a baby scratch here. In my head, I hear this as erret, and then we have a chirp scratch. For me, that's similar to a stab. I might just go So if I had a chirp and a stab, I would go Okay, so now for a transformer, da or and then for a drop I just have so if I'm literally doing a drop like a and then if I have a pullback, a quick pullback, I'll just go what, and then for a crab scratch I'll just go da, just 3 quick da. Pretty self-explanatory. And then let me just do one more. Let's do the flare. So for a flare, I have and then for a 2-click flare, I have So for me, a quick basic scratch pattern would be okay? One more time. Okay, so that's an example of a very basic scratch pattern that I can do in my head. And this all goes back to what I originally said. You don't want to be scratching and not understand what you're doing until it literally becomes second nature, but it does take a while to get to the point where it does become second nature. So once you've created a few of these basic scratch patterns in your head and you're able to literally say it in your head, you can write it down, whether that be just writing down literally baby, baby, chirp, chirp, scribble, drop, transformer back. However you have to do it, just make sure you can understand it, like looking at it in text. So if you were to actually see it, you can actually understand that as well in your head, and then you can translate that all to your hands. You're then ready to move on to step number 4, which is to find some scratch patterns by maybe some DJs that you are inspired by, or just literally going to any DJ set that you would like to. Maybe it's people that you follow on YouTube, or just start fresh, just type in a DJ mix and just pick a random DJ. It does have to be someone that does scratch, but once you find that video, once you get to a particular scratch pattern, you're gonna wanna just change the YouTube speed to 0.5 and just listen and see if you can pick up on the scratches that they're actually doing. Again, that's why step 1 is so important, to learn all of the different scratch types, because once you know all of the different scratch types and you can hear them in your head, you'll be able to break down literally any scratch pattern that you hear. And not only will you be able to break it down by literally listening to it, you can obviously watch and see the DJ's hand movements and what they're actually doing on the platter, the different cadences they may have, if they're pulling a record back or a platter back quickly, if they're pulling it back slowly. You'll really be able to pick up on all of these different things as time goes on. That's when you're ready to move on to step number 5, which is creating more complex scratch patterns yourself, and then honestly going and breaking down more advanced scratch techniques as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do one last scratch technique or scratch pattern here, and then I'm gonna show you what it sounds like in my head, and then I'm gonna translate it to my actual hands. So it's actually a scratch pattern that I've done a tutorial on my page. So it was a while ago, so you probably wouldn't remember if you do watch my videos, but either way, it sounds like this in my head. And for these verbal scratches that you're doing out loud, remember to do it however is most comfortable for you, in whichever way will help you the most. So sometimes I'll go da 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 da, or I might go but in my head they both mean the same exact thing. All right, DJs, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and that notification bell so you know the next time that I drop a video. Again, this was the most important thing, or the most important things that you need to know in order to learn how to scratch. And even if you're already a scratcher, this video will definitely take your scratch game to the next level. With that said, I'm up out of here. I'll catch y'all in the next one.
When we gon' stop, baby, when we gon' stop.